this t-shirt.
That anime sounds like ass.
Shut up.
Wait, you reading your old manga now?
Yeah, I have it right in front of you actually. This one's a short one, not the one that I was passing around in school. It's about vampires.
Oh,
Oh my god.
she probably made one about them soft ass
Huge
vampires
cringe.
falling in love. Like, don't you bite
I mean, there is love in there.
I want to bite
Huge
you.
cringe. Oh.
I hate you.
All right, guys.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second episode of the Anime Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Danny, also King Danimals in the socials.
It's your boy Paco here, aka Viva La Paco on your Twitter.
Teresa here and Risa Kipu on Instagram. So.
And like I said before, this is the Anime Club Podcast where we talk anime, games, and some movies, and occasionally the cartoons, because there is this one thing I want to bring up to you guys, but I won't do it yet. I want to work something out for it. I got an idea for the upcoming future. But for now, speaking of cartoons, there's been a lot of news in the Avatar realm.
Ooh.
So I would like to start there with first the news of the that Nickelodeon opening. Oh, I went silent. But the news of Nickelodeon opening the Avatar Studios, where they're gonna work on expanding the Avatar universe with movies and series, and the original creators are gonna be co-creators in this, so they will have their hands in on some of the.
Finally, yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of exciting, because now we get to hear some of those stories, everybody to hear, and we don't get. Maybe we get what's her name, Kyoshi. We get to see her stomping people.
Oh yeah, I think Yoshi's one of the biggest fan wanted shows. I think fans want a lot of what's it called before they come, before the current one.
Backstory.
Yeah, not backstory. So what you call? Oh my god, prequels. Yeah, they want more prequels than actual sequels. I think Korra did a good job of giving a sequel to what happened afterwards.
Yeah.
So I think fans are more interested in prequels now because they want to say they want to see the previous avatars. They want to see some of that.
Yeah.
Maybe what happened in that Fire Nation time that Aang was dormant.
I want to see Prime Iroh.
Yeah.
I want to see Prime Uncle Iroh. I want to see him, what he got with his group of old dudes, what they did after that, because they seemed like they knew each other already. I was yeah, good to see you guys again. So I'm
the White Lotus, man.
Yeah, what these old dudes were doing. I would love to see some of that. And Boomy, I want to see some Boomy action out here.
Oh yeah,
and it's Prime. I think a lot of viewers also want to see. Damn, if I can get this sit straight. A lot of people want to see the Avatar gang when they're adults too. You know what I mean?
That's true. Because I was talking about this earlier. We want to be why? Because out of the Avatar gang, only Sokka and Aang are dead.
No. Yes. Yeah. Sokka and Aang are gone.
So
Toph is in the swamp.
Yeah, she's chilling in the swamp. So I'm what happened? Because they're all old enough to where they could still be alive. So I like to see if they died in just natural causes that left, or they died, during some event. So that would be a cool story to see the final arc of Aang and Sokka.
Mm-hmm. But legit, I don't.
Jackie, what is Jackie doing?
We're watching Korean drama right now.
Oh my God.
Not the K drama.
You're supposed to be crying, not screaming during K. I guess so. What are some of the storylines or things you would be interested in seeing from the Avatar universe?
Go first, Christian.
Well, except all the prequels and all that, but I think I said one of the like the Fire Nation invasion. I think they could do like not everyone knows how it ends up, but they could do like they do the book 1, book 2, and then focus on a different village or a different hero per book. Not necessarily have to have like a protagonist one through the whole thing. And I mean, they've shown that they don't need the old cast to make a good show with Korra. Korra was completely new. They just kind of gave you some hints with some of the older characters, and they brought Toph back in for some cameos and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, Korra carried Korra. It wasn't Korra and the gang carried Korra. It wasn't like
you need
Naruto, like it wasn't like Boruto where Naruto is carrying half the show, even though that's like my example. So I feel like anything to come out, I feel confident that they can have a good cast that doesn't rely on their previous stuff.
That's if they can keep their hands on it, I'd be confident.
Yeah,
it's like I want to see what I think it was the faceless, that thing that takes people's face where
no face.
Yeah, and I think one of the avatars had a run in. Previous avatars.
I think it was Kuruk.
So I would like to see what happened with that, because that's an interesting little lore piece in there with that little thing, and see who some of these faces or some of those faces that it put on for Aang and Took were important, or the stories of those and how they got like snatched up. I think that'd be interesting. So they got a lot of stuff to work with.
Oh yeah.
I think it'd be pretty
for sure. For me, it's as long as Nickelodeon doesn't pull the same shit they pulled with Korra, because you know how like they cut their budget and then they have to force them on the website only, they took it off air, all that kind of stuff. If Nickelodeon can just give the creators like free reign of what they did with Atla in the beginning, then it'll be good. I mean, Korra was still good, but it's like it could be better. You know what I mean? If they didn't have to like cut it shorter and all that kind of stuff.
Korra gets disrespected. After watching it over, I'm like, Korra has some of the best villains. It just you had to deal with, you had to get through her angst, and
I mean, she was a teenager, growing teenager with like, she was a girl, dealing with puberty and stuff. What do you expect? Aang was a little bitch. I mean, Aang was not the most agreeable character either.
Yeah, I mean,
like, hey, kill him.
You said it right at first. He was, and
Yeah.
So that's why I would like to see older Aang, to see if he like developed that.
Yeah.
And I think gotta do what I gotta do.
A kind of characteristic of the Avatar universe is a lot of their two shows. They were really carried by the support cast instead of just the protagonists, where usually it's like, oh, he's finding the answers to everything and he comes in clutch. And both series show that you could have your team be as important as the protagonist, and carry the show without, losing, the focus of what the whole show is about.
Yeah, I agree. So sure. I think they would also do like some of the, I guess, already established stories, like when Zuko went to search for his mom. Like they have a book on it.
But the comic stuff.
Yeah, they haven't animated it, and that'd like show another dynamic with him and his sister, because he like freed her, and they both went to look. So that'd be cool. We get more of him. We get more of a
bring back Azula. I want to see more of her.
More development, not just she's a crazy ass bitch that tried to kill everybody.
Like that'd be fire to see. And I would also like to see just a mission of the Kyoshi Warriors, because they badass. Like a badass group of girls going on a mission to take down some random warlord. They got villains out there. They made like 3 villains for what's the name? They can make a villain for the Kyoshi Warriors. I think that'd be fire.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hey, did you guys hear that for Avatar Studios' first project, they're gonna come up with a movie?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah, the first project is a movie, so I'm like,
okay.
I wonder what is it going to be? Completely different people, or what? Because they do say they're trying to expand on the universe, but there's still so much questions on things that are already established that I would like to see.
Yeah. The crazy thing is they already have like a continuous plot point with the Avatar where they can go back and talk to the previous Avatar. So you could literally have Aang and Korra, easily fit into future universes or future, roles because you're like, oh yeah, they can always talk to them because it's been established that the Avatar can freely talk to the previous, Avatar. So it's not like they're done and there's no way of like putting them back in the show.
Can't they only talk to like Korra now because she broke the cycle or something?
Yeah, pretty much. She restarted the cycle.
Yeah,
she restarted it.
So, yeah,
well,
she's the first Avatar now.
Now Kyoshi can't tell you to pull the strap on somebody.
Bro, I don't know how that meme came about because apparently Kyoshi was not that type of person.
Oh no!
Everybody was like, Kyoshi don't give a fuck.
She was always like, "Yo, get the strap." Yeah. So I guess that'd be cool to see them, whoever the next Avatar is or whatever, just have to talk to Korra. So.
Unless they're deciding to continue Korra into adulthood, because she's still got kind of her life ahead of her until she eventually.
But what more can she give? I feel like she reached her as a character, her, I guess, developed peak. Like she went through all of those. We watched her go through all of those teenage phases of just being. What's that for? Defiant and headstrong and stubborn to understanding and
but it's like it's just the same as Aang too. Like he went through all that development. They reached that end, but it's just like you can continue on after that. Like them for Aang's story, they could see how what's that city called? I forgot.
Ba Sing Se?
No, the one that Korra lives in now, or that city that is supposed to be the new world kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know about.
Yeah,
how that started getting built.
Yeah, how that started getting built, how they like kind of merged everybody, modernized everything.
And that's another thing too. Like it's gonna be interesting. Like how if they do something after Korra, it's gonna be interesting how much modernization it becomes because you saw the jump from Aang to Korra was fucking huge.
Yeah,
it was.
So it's like how much faster, how much more modern
further until
where the world get until they reach like
where bending
tech.
is like
yeah. So it's like, and at that point, is the Avatar and bending still even useful, or are they going to do like a movie where it's in the future where people don't bend anymore because everything is automatic, more technology based, and that's the movie bringing back the Avatar? That'd be a cool concept too.
That's why my guess would be this movie would be more like in past. So they can keep
I think that would
the
be
bending.
Easier. Yeah.
And like maybe like not crazy past because they may still want to use like some of the cool stuff like lava bending and metal bending and all that stuff that came along. So they may be like sometime between maybe older Korra era or between Aang and Korra gap or something like that.
That's what I'm feeling it is. It's like between Aang and Korra gap that the movie's gonna be about.
So I think that'd be fire. But what comes with like we trust Nickelodeon or whatever, kinda. Trust it until we see it. Kinda trust Nickelodeon. But there's also still that Netflix adaptation that's on the way. And we seen what Netflix does to live actions. And like I think there was like this tweet that went viral where they're talking about reportedly they're changing like the ages of the core cast.
Right.
They're trying to put Katara at 16 and Sokka at 14, making her the older sister instead of him being the older brother. And then they're trying to put Aang at like keep him at 12. So now it's like you put Sokka like he was supposed to be the older brother that was not mature yet, while like Katara was forced to be mature. And now you don't even get Aang and Katara's, build.
No, they're trying to push that teenage angst between Korra and Katara and Zuko, and I don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're messing it up again.
I think that's exactly it too. They're trying to get that. Oh, this would be good. They'll love this. I'm like, we don't need romance.
Yeah.
Why do people see things?
That was good.
Like, why do you see things that was already successful and be like, let's change it though? Like, why?
It doesn't have enough rom-com.
Why?
There's not enough romance.
Like, did they not see the mistake that M. Night already made trying to change up some of like just the personalities of the characters? Even the name, like once you call it Aang Ung, everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be pronounced this way. But the show that we all watch, they call him Aang. Just leave it. Like, why? Like,
yeah.
How do you feel about them just jumbling up the ages? Because
it's dumb. Like you say, it's if it was already successful, it was successful for a reason. Like,
right?
Like the only thing that live action changes should be made are stuff to make it believable. Like, you know, I can understand some stuff being believable, like maybe the hair is a little bit different, the clothes are a little bit different, you know, whatever, you know, making it more live action-ish, which is cool. It's fun. It's not changing the actual plot, which is the whole reason people watched it, because yeah, the animation was great, and you know, but the storyline was the whole reason people watched it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
and people didn't watch it for the rom-com. They didn't watch it because, oh my god, is Aang gonna ask Katara out? Like no one even thought about that until like way later in the show, when you know they started giving you a hint. But even then, it was just like, oh yeah, you can kind of tell they like each other, but whatever.
Yeah, they're in war. Let's not focus on that right now.
We're kind of fucking. Here's Toph. She's an earthbender who can metal bend now. We're like, oh shit, that's dope. And then so they should just, you know, stick to the originals. You know, just make it live actiony, as in make it believable, but leave the storyline alone.
Like, I do understand making slight changes to make the story fit into live action, but like you say, leave the characters to the core, because that's what the fans fell for. If you want to guarantee that the fans are gonna like enjoy what you're trying to put out and support it for second seasons and keep going, like stop messing it up before no one be able to pick this up when we get a good one.
That's what I'm saying. Oh my, look. So again, like I was really open to M. Night Shyamalan's interpretation, because it was just like, yeah, some things in animation are not going to translate over to live action really well. Like the costume, if you transfer it 100% over, it'll match, but it'll look retarded. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't look real. Yeah. But it's just like, why are you trying to shove? Like, my opinion, I feel like they're trying to shove romance super duper hard with this live action, and you're just like, not everything needs romance to be good.
Yep.
No point in it. It's just the point of like these kids growing up in a war-torn era, you know, trying to survive and hopefully, you know, stop the war. Well, that's like later on, but like right now it's just trying to survive and not die from the Fire Nation. And you're just over here is like, the Avatar needs to be young. This can't be his girlfriend. She needs to fall in love with the firebender. And you're just like, why do you do this?
And even with like it changes the her and Sokka's whole dynamic. Yeah. Because we see him like be this immature older brother, but he like over time you see him actually become the development to the leader that he's supposed to be, especially when he gets closer to like saving his dad and stuff around that book. Mm-hmm. You see him become like a mature person who's still able to like keep up with the humor and all that stuff. And now he's the younger brother. Yeah. Acting that way, it's just like, yeah, he's a younger brother, and it's like, oh, why?
This is, I don't know.
You think they'd learn from like?
It's because these people don't fucking watch it. That's why they're just like, oh, this doesn't make sense.
Looking at charts, because like the live actions have been so trash. We ended up with what, Death Note, where you completely change Ellen Light, and it's just like, why? Yeah, we ended up with. We don't even talk about Dragon Ball.
Oh my god, bro.
Bro, I still can't forget.
Goku ain't never touched the school, and they sent Goku to school. Like what?
Bro, they had Master Roshi in the middle of New York.
I
A big
was
ass
like,
hole.
Bruh, that's
Oh.
I have no idea like who even
like,
thought was like, yes, let's make this into a high school power up movie. Like, what the fuck?
Thought it was okay.
It was like who
greenlight this?
Who
like
approved it?
Even if you go back to like Goku's growing up, he never touched school. There was never a moment when he went to school.
This man ain't. That's why he dumb. All he be like, I can throw hands.
This man has never
Goku,
that is all he knows.
Goku is dumb. And y'all was like, let's put him in school.
The only fucking classroom he knows is like from Gohan's classroom when he was a little kid. Other than that, this man don't know shit. Like that was the dumbest thing.
That was dumb.
Like
Avatar was dumb. Like
that was just
all of it was dumb.
I feel like some of the best live action I've seen has been done by Japanese studios. Like if you haven't seen Rurouni Kenshin, it's probably one of the best live action adaptations I've seen. The way Long put me on there, and it's just fire. It's like from the
That's
fighting.
They understand the source material. The source material for a reason.
Like they were able to pull off like the anime like fighting in live action without like crazy CGI and stuff, and it was just dope. And like I haven't seen stuff like the Gintama live action, or I remember watching Prince of Tennis live action though. That was
and the thing with live action is like I feel that the directors or the producers can go two directions. They can either try to stick as true as possible to the original, and of course make the changes to make it live action, or they just make sort of like their own origin story to make it into a live action, which at that point you're kind of like, okay, this is not they're not adapting the actual plot. They're taking the baseline information like the character names and locations, and they're giving you a different live action that has nothing to do with the actual storyline. So this is kind of like technically not canon, but it's it's a different way of telling a story, which like I said, in my opinion, that's also a good way to doing it, because you're not like disrespecting or you're not trying to make the original bad. You're just giving it a different look. You're like, hey, we just can't do this. We can't fucking do Dragon Ball. We can't do laser beams and all this. Like, I completely get that. They could have done like a simple martial arts tournament where there weren't, Goku finds out he's a Saiyan, or he's like, why can't I break these bricks? It's stuff like that. I think would have been a lot better than let's send this man to school, and towards the end, this man can fucking destroy a planet. Like,
well, he's getting bodied by Piccolo, who looked
exactly. So it's like, bro, what are you doing, bro?
What is this show?
Like, my guy, what is you doing?
Christian, you actually brought up a really good point though, about taking the kind of like the baseline source material and kind of rewarping it. So I think I kind of understand why Netflix went in this direction, because it's appealing to the general American public. And what do they really care about? They don't really care about anime shit, you know what I mean? They like, does this have some kind of action? Are the characters, like good looking at least? Is it at least interesting? And, romance pulls in a lot of people, unfortunately. So you get your waterbender, you get your bad boy firebender kind of thing. And they're just like, oh my God, are they going to get together? You can't.
They're going to appeal to the masses, not the.
Yeah, I think that's what they're really going for.
But like the new people on Netflix, maybe looking at like Netflix numbers, but yeah. I guess I'll try to watch it for. I'll try to watch it for what it is, because like Sweet Home, like I was reading it and it was like, oh, we doing a Netflix adaptation, so I'm like, oh, cool. And I finished Sweet Home, and then first episode of like the adaptation, it was just like, wait, why is that character completely different? And who is this person? It was like new characters, personalities completely changed. So I'm just like, let's just watch it for what it is. And interpretation and not an adaptation.
Yeah, so it's not canon.
Yeah.
They might,
Yeah, and I think
just
the biggest thing to me is not everything needs a goddamn live action adaptation. Just leave it alone.
I agree.
Like,
and before that One Piece live action.
Exactly, like One Piece. No, just stop, man. You can't live action One Piece. It's too. Just Nami's body figure is impossible to live action. First of all, and
that is true.
I mean, like,
that doesn't make sense.
I mean, and the thing is, like exactly, like One Piece. Just leave it alone. Don't go fucking do something. Go look at some other go look at a rom-com. You can live action that easy. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's true. I think. Plus, I feel like nowadays you don't have to live action because animated films are so successful now. They're doing really well that you can just make an animated movie.
But again, I think the reason why they do live action is because, I don't know how many times I've talked to people and they're just like, oh yeah, I don't watch cartoons. And they're just like, you know what I mean? So it's like, if it's just a cartoon, you kind of lose out a good number of your audience. So they're just like, let's try to get this story to
and it's a
other
good
folks.
Get people to watch, like you said. Cause I guess with Marvel, they start live action all their comments, and that started like a wave, and everybody's like, I'm here for it. And they do a great job at it because it's like American comics, explosions, not much
and it's not stupid.
Yeah, so it's
how you fuck up Death Note.
I would love to have been in that room. The pitch I did,
just slapped him.
They got done watching the first arc of Death Note. It's like, you know what? I don't like none of that. Light shouldn't be that confident and smart. He should be scared. Yeah. What? I'm like,
hold on.
I feel like Death Note just took a simple 4-episode watch, and he could have been like, these characters don't match.
Yeah, it just amazes me how the Death Note was when it was in my opinion, one of the easier ones to live action.
Exactly. They pulled off what's his name, the Death God, pretty okay. The CGI for him looks really good.
Yeah,
I think that's where all the budget went, honestly.
He says Rook was fine. He looked fine. It was cool. It was just the
story
choices, the story choices, the plot choices,
exactly
everything.
No one continued to read Death Note for the powers. Everyone continued to read because they were trying to see how Light and what's his name?
L
were going to compete against each other. Everyone wanted to see that back and forth psychological win. No one was like, I mean, the power was what started it all, but no one was like, oh, I wonder, it's gonna get a power upgrade. No, they were like, what's L gonna do next? What's Light gonna do next? How is he gonna figure this out? That's what kept people reading. So it was just a ball drop. They dropped the ball many times in these live action shows.
A lot.
I don't know why, but that was trending on Twitter. But then there was also another big topic trending on Twitter a week ago, and that was this guy who pretty much was talking about he was pretty much gatekeeping anime.
Oh boy.
I'm trying to see if I can find his exact
gatekeepers,
because it was a tweet that I guess when you post something, folks be thinking they yeah, I just said that, and then everyone's like, that's stupid. You're wrong, and here's why. Hit with the Stephen A. But I try to find the exact tweet. Why?
I see it. It says, if all your common knowledge of anime is Demon Slayer, Naruto, Inuyasha, Bleach, One Piece, Fate, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Gundam, My Hero Academia, Yu-Gi-Oh, and the Ghost in the Shell, then you're not an anime fan.
Oh, there's a lot of anime
Exactly.
to watch.
Like how do you name like that many of the most popular anime, and they're not in like one era. They're like over from like back in the days to like currently new anime, and say that's all you know. These years of anime
That
is all
that just blows my mind. That's exactly like that. First of all, you're like, bro, you went all the way from Yu-Gi-Oh, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z to fucking Demon Slayer, Fate, and My Hero. Like, you literally went up pretty much 20 years of anime, and you're saying if you've been watching for anime for 20 years, you're not a fan. Like, Jesus
like,
Christ.
Just because you only
because you like the, I guess you'd be considered only liking the mainstream like anime,
a poser.
instead of you don't like nothing that's niche or that's not on everyone's talking about. But it's like, so
If you would have said that, and then we said, then you're just a mainstream anime watcher, I could be like, yeah, you're right. That's a mainstream. You know, that you could still argue
Those are
about
popular,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, but you know, they wouldn't be like, but you're right. If all you watch is that, if let's just say someone did only watch those animes and those anime, you could say, and he said, yeah, you're just a mainstream watcher. Well, then, yeah, probably true. You're only watching it because it came on Toonami, and then it probably came on, you know, because they started showing it on Netflix, and you subscribe to Netflix. You probably don't subscribe to Crunchyroll, so you're not watching all these other, you know, stuff that happens, and that's cool. That's fine. It doesn't.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To that
If you
guy,
would have
like,
said you're, yeah.
to that guy, I'd be like, so
who cares?
if all I like is some shonen ass anime that's mainstream,
That's all I like.
that's all I like. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean I'm like, oh, you don't know anime. You don't like anime because you only watch this anime. Like, what? I watch anime. That's like you don't like basketball because you only watch the Hawks, the Lakers, the Blazers, the Warriors. You name like 10 teams. Like,
And that's the thing. Like, someone else responded to this guy. He was like, "So that means if I don't watch the whole season of football, I'm not a fan." And he was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Bro, no." Like, even among football fans, no one watches every single football game. You're gonna tell me before? Okay, let's go back 2 years, and I know Teresa won't know like the football team. So, but like,
Yeah, well,
you're gonna tell me a Patriots fan is gonna sit down and watch the Cleveland Browns versus the Bears? Like, you're gonna tell me he's gonna sit down and watch that full game? Nah, man, come on. If you don't like it, you don't like
because he
it.
doesn't fucking care. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just like, why? Like, why do people have to like, want to gatekeep like their fandom? I kind of understand their mindset. They're like, this is my fandom that I was in when nobody else was here. Now all of these people come in. I'm edgelord because, you know, I'm just trying to get on it because it's cool now. But I was here from day one. It's like, that's cool, but now you got more people to talk about anime with. Like,
True.
you got like your fandom grows, which brings more light to it, which can like maybe get it more seasons or more production, or, you know, it helps the fandom when more people discover it. And it's gatekeeping,
and it's also like
weird.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Danny.
Go ahead.
Finish.
No, I said it was just weird. I was like, gatekeeping is just weird.
No, I mean, like, yeah, I get it too. You know, like, because like back
Oh, you're freezing.
when we were young, they were like, "Oh, you like watching them Japanese cartoons? You're a weird kid," you know. But like, I understand, but it's not like you said before. It's not really necessary. Like, if you get more people that like it, more chances of getting more seasons. You know, more things, more movies, more merch, whatever. But also, sorry, I brain farted.
Well, okay, so to pick up where Teresa while she remembers, like, if what that tells me is this guy wanted this to stay like a very niche like community, which if that happened, you would not get all these cons, all these like different type of cons,
Or
all
the growth of the cons.
Yeah, the growth and like just in like Crunchyroll, for example, if you guys remember, like years back, their catalog was very limited because they couldn't get any licensing for any of the niche animes. They could only get licensing for some of the big ones, and then some weird ass anime that no one really watched. But because it grew, the subscription base grew, so they were able to fucking buy more licensing products, and it worked out for them. I mean, they hopped on, made it worth people's while to pay the $7, be the Netflix of anime.
Yeah.
And what happened? Then Netflix added anime to their catalog
because that Netflix started adding a lot of anime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hulu added it too. So, I mean, what you trying to say? Hulu and Netflix should have never added it, bro. Come on, it's
because maybe it's getting mainstream, and they like to. There are people who, and we can't tell who or whatever. There are people who like to use mainstream as a way to get more followers. Like they didn't care about anime, but now that everyone is, they're like, well, I'm an anime person while I stream or whatever. I get my cool shirts and stuff, and I watch Demon Slayer, and it's like, okay. Like I guess I get that part. If he wants to keep his community or whatever from being like exploited by like
Oh yeah. Also, I remember what I was gonna say. Okay, it's hard for adults now to have time to watch anime, especially if you got like a lot of responsibility. So maybe you're only accessible to that. You don't have time to like sift through thousands of anime titles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to watch this one. This sounds the weirdest. Watch a niche ass anime.
Mm-hmm.
You see this, like, oh, I've seen this. Let me watch it. Oh shit, it's good. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not fair to those people either, where you're just like, oh, you only like the popular ones.
Like,
so I can watch it.
Yeah, I get it, because like even now, like back then, you was able to go pick up on someone recommend a series. Cool, you can go binge it. But now it's like I have a backlog of recommended anime that I don't really have time to watch what I'm currently watching, like trying to keep up with Jujutsu and Attack on Titans and Digimon and like the current stuff, while also going back and binging like Another and then Bungo Stray Dogs and like these other recommendations that are on the backlog, because we don't have time. We go to work.
Yeah.
Come home.
Yeah, families to raise,
hobbies and all this stuff. So it's like I don't have time, but I still like anime, my guy.
And besides, I don't like Danny. When we go to these anime cons, you think we're fans, right? Anime fans. But then you talk to some of these people, and we're just like, we're nowhere near that.
Yeah,
these guys are fans.
Like, fans anime and folks, but are you? What happened at episode 3.2, 3.6? Like what? I don't
know.
No, you're wrong, because the manga artist said it was blah blah blah, and then they did this, and then that's not considered with what the wiki says. I'm like, bro, I didn't even know they had a wiki for this.
Yeah, I know.
Like there are extremes. Hopefully, you don't mean like the extremists are true fans, because there are levels to this.
His
that is
would have been a whole lot more understandable if he just said, you're just a mainstream anime fan. That would have been like, you know what? He's right. If you watch out that, you probably are just a mainstream, which is fine. You're cool, but
it's whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but this man says you're not an anime fan. Like, bro, you can't watch 20 years.
You have no
of shows.
license to say that.
Exactly.
It's
that dude.
But legit, like, this also reminded me of something. I don't like it when people come off as like kind of like, anime fans to try to pick up people. Because remember that time I was at the bookstore, Danny? And I was like looking at something. This guy came up to me and he was just saying like, did you know that Full Metal Alchemist stole ideas from Legend of Korra? And I'm like, Full Metal Alchemist is older.
Like, it came first. I just walked away. I was just like, she got it.
I'm like, oh my god.
If you're gonna try to use anime to pick up ladies, you gotta come right with the knowledge.
Yeah, do correctly, man. Come on. Get your facts right. Jeez.
Well, before we get out, I would like to. We're gonna try to do this at least as the last part of each episode, where we have like a hypothetical question or a thinker, a brain. What's the word? Not teaser, but a critical thinking question, I guess. And for this one, I wanted to ask because I got to talking about this a while back with like Alex and Long, and we were talking about the big three and how like when like the big three became a thing, it was Bleach, One Piece, Naruto. Because I think like what's that one, Toriko or whatever was too old at the time already.
Yeah. Toriko?
Yeah, it was too old, and DBG was like too old too. It was like those like the granddads, and then like this was the big three to carry on the anime legacy. And then we're talking about what would the current big three be, and like what would even your criteria for a big three be in like the manga or anime realm? Because for instance, for myself, since I had the conversation while you guys gather your thoughts, I was like, it's hard to see what the big three is here because it's a lot bigger in Japan. Like, you remember we was there for like the One Piece event, and that thing was pushed. Yeah. Like One Piece
everywhere.
It was pushed everywhere. You walk somewhere and you see a big ass Luffy.
It's even in the gas stations. It was great.
Like it was pushed everywhere, and like Pokemon had a movie come out, and everywhere we went, there was like near Pokemon Center or had Pokemon stuff. You would hear the theme song for the movie. It was so catchy. Too bad it was only the Japanese theme song and it didn't make it to America. It was like
so good,
catchy. So like they push things manga anime wise a lot more over there. So, so my criteria personally for a big three is it's an anime that I think long lasting has to be one of the criterias, because that's how you become a long-lasting big three member. You're not just a flash in the pan. You're like, nah, I'm here to carry the next era of anime and have a memorable cast. Because when you go to the original big three, like One Piece, you don't just go Luffy and everybody else. It's Luffy, it's Zoro, you know the villains, the Marines, the Yonkos, like the whole generation. Bad generation. Same with like Naruto. You knew all the Chunins. You knew the villains, like Katsuki, everyone. Bleach, we knew the captains. We knew Ichigo. We knew his friends. So I feel like a nice cast also it's part of the criteria of a big three. But I don't know what my big three would be just yet. But that's my criteria of what a big three requires. So
yeah, I agree. I think same though those two, obviously longevity is probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, requirements. I mean, you can't just have one season and can be considered part of the big three. That's not going to work. Sure. But to me, also to add on to that, it would probably be and to go back to the original big three, like you said, Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. I think what gave them the big three moniker was their global presence. Like they literally took over everywhere you went. They were the big three wherever you went. Like you could have gone probably to Europe and there were the big three there. You could obviously Japan, they were there, and America, those were the big three.
Good point.
Because a lot of shows they're popular in one country, but they're not so popular in a different country because they just don't like it. So to me, to have global presence, you gotta then you're a part of the big three. Because if only Japan's watching you, that's cool. But if the rest of the world says that anime ain't on my top 5 list, you ain't part of the big three. So everyone knows Naruto probably is the one that brought anime to global audience, and then Bleach and One Piece, we're here to stay. We're not Naruto. We're doing our own thing, and people were like, "Yo, that's dope." So that's what the big three. Because back then, everyone was watching those 3 animes. You could talk to anybody that was an anime watcher and be like, "Yeah, I watch all those 3 because that's where everybody watching." So to me, global presence, you gotta have it. If you don't have global presence, you could be a great anime, you could be an amazing anime, but it doesn't mean you're a big three anime.
In the big three, yeah.
So you gotta have that because like
that big three is a big title right there. Like,
exactly.
Because there were so many animes out, like Full Metal and stuff was out, and like there was we still had Zoids, and we had what you said Big O, and like all these animes, like, but it was like nah, those are the big. They're the three.
And I think you hit it. Danny hit it right on the mark when he said like DBZ and Gundam were the grandfathers, because they were the ones that kind of held your hand, sort of say, into you growing up into watching these things, because you could watch them on Toonami. I think Toonami was probably the biggest thing over here in America, anyways. I don't know what Europe had, but
plus I feel like those two came right before anime became more widespread. Like by the time we got to it, it was like those was already a thing, and then we got to join in on it. But I think we got to be there at the start of the big three. Right,
because I think that's why I think you're right when I said they're like grandparents, because they kind of held your hand until saying, "Here you go, son. Here are your big three that you're gonna actually, have fun watching all the time with all your friends." So, global presence, and also I think another kind of low key that's it's important to me is the time frame between seasons. Between season 1 and season 2, there's plenty of animes that are great, but they took 2 years to come out, and you're like, oh, I gotta go rewatch the first season because I don't know what the fuck happened.
I feel you.
So if you look back, the big three they were season after season
with the arcs.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't like 1 week break, but they had breaks and they had tons of fillers. Everyone, that was the biggest complaint, which is understandable. Yeah. But again, it's they were still pumping out episodes, and that's what people want. Oh, it's Saturday, new episode. I gotta go watch it. And if you don't have that, you go months or years without a new season. People forget about you, so then you drop.
And like kind of adding on, I do agree with you guys for sure. For me, one of the big threes, it feels like they kind of have to like go toe to toe. You know what I mean? Like one can't end too early, otherwise this doesn't really count as a big three. You know what I mean? Those three, for me, like the big three would have to kind of stay like in a little race.
Like relevant like this.
Stay relevant like this. Maybe like every now and then a season like or two be like. Maybe like this, but they're like always right here. One can't just drop off after season 1, and then like Christian said, and then the other two keep going because then you just lose it.
Yep. That's why I think you gotta have at least the 2 solid seasons before you get to be nominated for a big three.
Yeah. So like considering that kind of criterion and stuff like that, would you guys count Demon Slayer as part of the big three? Because it blew up really big.
I wouldn't yet. Because that's the one thing, that's what started this conversation for us in the car. There was like people were trying to say Demon Slayer is in the big three, and I was like, how? It only had 1 season.
Yeah.
Because I remember
the movie.
Yeah, the movie, but that movie. Well, if you read it, that movie was just the next arc of the season, so it could have just been part of a season, but they dropped it as a movie, and it worked for them. They got to cash in on it. But I just consider it the next arc, or it was like a bridge between arcs. But like I remember the hype on One Punch Man season 1, how everybody was going absolutely crazy for it. And then season 2 came and the animation dropped a little, and they were just like, what is this? Like the season 2 hype just wasn't as what it was for season 1. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, is that we don't know if that's going to happen to Demon Slayer when season 2 drops. We know it's coming. We don't know if that's going to happen. So we got to see. And like, because like I finished Demon Slayer. I was all in on it. I do enjoy Demon Slayer. After it finished, we'll talk more about that. But, like, I wouldn't consider it a big three yet, simply because it had like 1 season so far. Now we got to see if the season 2 can live up to the season 1 and push forward.
Yeah, I agree. I do not see it being part of the big three. And hot take on my side, I don't think Demon Slayer will ever be part of the big three, just because of the content that the manga already ended for one.
Yeah,
So
the
there's
manga didn't
already
last long.
there's already a set there's a set end. There's no I they could try and go past it, but obviously that never works out really. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great anime. It's going to be a 10 out of 10 once it's all said and done. But it's not going to be a big three, which it's not a bad thing. You don't, there's plenty of 10-10 animes that are not
That
big
wasn't in the big
three,
three.
Yeah.
but to just let's say that big three is just an exclusive club that you don't just join one year and then the next year someone else joins, and the third year like Teresa says, this dude that they joined last year, we're gonna drop him and we're gonna
For this person,
get this guy. Like, nah, it's a whole everyone.
Y'all gotta do it together.
Yeah, it's like the big three are phasing out. We
like
gotta go.
You're part of this club that's here to push anime forward, not just. I had a fire season. I dropped this dope album. I was like,
nah.
dropped one album, bro. Look at my discography.
Exactly.
So that's why I don't think it's in there, but it's because the current big three, I think, are the previous big three. Bleach finished, so I consider it retired. It finished. Even though it's coming back, we'll talk about that new last arc of Bleach another time. Even though it's coming back. And then Naruto, I consider, even though Boruto's here, I consider Naruto done. So I retired those two. And One Piece is still going strong. So it's just like, who's coming in to help One Piece continue the push in anime? So for me, so far I put My Hero in there because it kind of came in and filled the slot of. It was like Naruto ended, My Hero came, so it was like a nice pass off, and My Hero came, multiple solid seasons,
Good character cast,
with a nice character cast where the heroes, like the kids who were like the tune in, the teachers who were like the captains that taught them. And the villains, like everybody was going crazy for like the Hero Slayer, Stain, and like One for All, and like the villains, and it's still building. Like manga wise, it's still getting we're still getting information. It's still getting crazier. So it feels like one of those that are gonna last a while, so it can live in that slot. But that last slot, I don't know. There feel like there was a lot of animes that could have been there, and they just didn't. Fairy Tail was like one of the biggest disappointments. It felt like it could have potentially
it was there,
slot, and it was like fumble the ball. Same thing with like Seven Deadly Sins. I felt like they fumbled the ball. So I only have two of the three for the big three. I'm hoping Jujutsu Kaisen can get to the point to fill it in, because manga wise, it's getting there. It's dope, but now we gotta see if it can have a solid at least 2 seasons before we fill it in there.
Wasn't Black Clover supposed to be kind of like the run in to fill in that position? Isn't that what it was aiming for?
I think
because it started off really, really generic.
Yeah, it did.
Shonen,
It started off generic shonen with the main character screaming a lot, but it's already on its final arc.
That's because it caught up to the manga, right?
Yeah, but they said it's pretty close to the manga, but then the show said this is the final arc of Black Clover, and the show is on the same arc as the manga, so it's like, I guess it's the final arc.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm also like in the same boat, because pretty much what Danny said, it was Naruto and Bleach ended, and then One Piece kind of is still holding it down, and then you had My Hero, which is arguably, I don't think they just picked up Naruto's mantle, in terms of they're very similar in terms, this guy gonna become the one later down the road. but I don't think I don't think there's an anime yet that has filled Bleach's shoes just yet. There's been a few that almost got there that they were this close, but then they either dropped off or the plot ended being kind of whack, or there was to me, Attack on Titan also fumbled the bag.
I was gonna say, is it Attack on Titans? Is that the third?
I think if their hastiness between each season would have been a lot less, it could have been up there. But because it took so long for each season to come out, it just
was tough.
Yeah,
like Attack on Titan was like, while the others were like a weekly manga, Attack on Titan was a monthly manga, so you had to wait longer to get the season.
Exactly. So if Attack on Titan, let's say, had started, if the anime started when the manga was way much more ahead, and they could have done more seasons more fast, it could have taken the position of Bleach. I think that's the closest one so far because
it has the cast.
The
global reach.
Yeah, it has that cool factor also, that uniqueness. But the waiting time just killed it. People were just moving on. They were like, "Yeah, I'll watch it later when it comes back on." And
yeah,
that's true.
I personally was a little bit hyped when they brought back Dragon Ball Super because that shit took I've never seen an anime make such a huge comeback from being dead to the new one, and everyone's.
I give you that. That Tournament of Powers was like a huge.
Dragon Ball Super made a huge, the biggest comeback in my opinion in anime, and I was like, oh shit, they're gonna it's gonna be, Goku's coming back. Dragon Ball's gonna be a staple again. And I don't blame them. They fumbled the bag too.
It's those monthly, man. Dragon Ball Z is a monthly manga, so you have to wait longer for the seasons.
Exactly. But I mean, Black Clover, I haven't watched it. I know it's good. I read quite a bit of the manga, but it's just, I don't know. Not my big three. I don't think it has that global presence. I think Attack on Titan was bigger than them. It's still bigger than them.
Because even when you say Black Clover, people know our stuff, but they know the cast, like visual, but you can't. They won't name them. You can't really. They're not that memorable.
Right. Like I say, when the supporting cast is great, you can tell because you have hardcore fans of the support cast, like Captain Levy from. Oh my God, he's probably a bigger character than Aaron at this point.
Oh no, he is.
He is.
Yeah,
he is.
That's the boy.
Like when he shows up on screen, you're like, oh yeah,
oh yeah, boy.
Like I said, if Attack on Titan's release schedule would have been a lot more tighter, it would have been the new Bleach. Even if it wasn't for a little bit, but because of the delays, it just dropped off. And as a big three, you can't. You gotta dominate. You gotta be the top dog. You
gotta be consistent.
Yeah, you can't let some little Asta Clover bitch come up here and say, "That's 1v1 me, bro." Like, nah, man. Yeah, and My Hero did that. My Hero was like, "Yo, bro, I'm here to kick some ass, and I'm gonna give you some consistent fights, some consistent twists."
It has
a good ass story. You're just like, oh.
It has a dope cast because even when like Deku's there, if Lamillion shows up, you're like, "Oh, Lamillion's here. It's about to go down." Like it's other characters that you were just all in for. So
yeah.
Do you have anybody, Teresa, that you think could?
I mean, not really, because it's just like I was thinking Black Clover, but then again, it's like I've watched a little bit of it, but if I don't get enough of it around my surroundings, then I'm just like, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Like Christian said, Attack on Titan was a big deal when it first came out, up to the second season and third season, and then like gone for like 2 years?
Yep.
Until the season came out. Yeah, that was a long hiatus, but it was still popular though. But not as hype because you're just like, oh shit, it's out. I'll watch it when I got some free time, not I gotta jump on this shit.
Now that you mention it, I think Hunter x Hunter could have been in the big three. It has a big fan base. It has memorable characters, but it stopped
the hiatus.
That hiatus because I think the manga went on hiatus too, so it just stopped. And it's like, man, if they never if the manga kept going and they kept going and we get the Dark Continent arc and all that stuff, now I think it would be sitting in the seat right there with the other two. So,
but it's the manga got sick a lot, right?
I think so.
Sick a lot.
I think that was it.
Let me ask you guys this: why do you think Sword Art was never considered a big three? Even though, like, you guys remember when Sword Art first came out, it was
first arc was the best.
I got the easy answer for you. That first arc took you up here, like to the peaks. Like Sword Art, first arc was fire. You had,
that's what it was.
It still didn't really build on too many other characters. Like you knew him, you knew Asuna, and like you had the blacksmith and those characters that show up, but not like, oh snap, when he shows up, or you want to know more about them. Yeah. But then that second arc was like. It dropped it. Like, and then, I enjoyed it, but it was.
Right, and then that stupid fairy art. That's the second art, right?
Yeah.
Man,
how are you gonna? Asuna came in first season, dope as fuck. She's over here killing bosses, wrecking chambers and stuff like that. Second season, trapped in a cage by some weird ass elf guy. And he was like, Asuna, kick his ass.
I'm like, she was so badass, and I made her.
I can't. He was like.
And then
why won't you?
And then Gun Gale was pretty cool, but then it wasn't consistent. It's one of those. It's a good anime, but it's not like, oh, this is it. This is when the new season come out. Everybody like pump the brakes. We gotta go see this arc. The Espada are here. It's just.
Yeah, Sword Art dropped the ball after the first season. They couldn't live up to it because of that bullshit. Stupid fairy arc.
So I will save this third seat spot for the potential of Jujutsu Kaisen, because Jujutsu Kaisen is showing the potential right now, like manga wise and anime show wise, to potentially be the Bleach. It has the characters. It has multiple characters that you can root for. It has some villains that you remember. I can still use some more like villains and like other characters to build on, but it has that potential for that third seat. So for me right now, I don't have a third seat for the big three. It's just a big two, and that's the big brother One Piece who's been there, and then the young protege My Hero that's helping carry the torch, and that's.
Bro, that is such a good carry off. Boku no Hero really picked it up.
Yeah, Boku no Pico did a good job.
What the fuck?
Yo, can I watch Boku no Pico?
Boku no Pico, bro. What type of big three you watch?
What? You ain't see Boku no Pico? Academia? That Boku no Pico Academia?
I don't know, bro. You be watching a different big three, bro. You watching the bottom four, I think. Or the little three.
I think we had a consensus that it's only two in the big three, right? With a vacant seat.
And you know it's kind of crazy though. Like, so many anime have come out before, even after Bleach ended, but no one really like. Yeah, and the thing is kind of crazy how universally everyone agreed that My Hero is it, like that's the one. Like, people are making cases for other anime, right? But everyone's just like, yeah, My Hero, yep, that's it. They're part of it. It's no contest. Well, everybody's like, like even us are like, yeah, well, Attack on Titan or Hunter x Hunter, blah blah blah. But it's kind of crazy. They just came into the scene and just took over. Like, not even nobody put up a fight. They were just like, yeah, we're here to stay.
It did help that like as Naruto was ending, it was like. And My Hero starting, and they were like, "This is the new guy." And then you had that art where they had like Naruto passing it on to him, like torch, and like. But even if you pass the torch, you gotta live up to it, and
exactly.
They did a good job living up to the hype. So, yeah, I'm still excited for that. But we gotta clock it here, and this has been another great conversation in the Anime Club Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Danny, also known as King Danimals.
It's your boy Paco, aka Viva La Paco on Twitter. Stay tuned for next week where Danny comes in on his review of Boku no Pico.
Yay!
I never watched it, and I don't plan to.
And Teresa signing off.
Well, that's it. Club dismissed. Go put on some deodorant and go home.